everyone, welcome back to the Renewable Radio podcast. Thanks to our sponsors that make this possible every time we do it, the Hale Group. The Hale Group is a renewable installation company covering boilers, solar, battery and heat pump installations across the UK. Today I've got Anita with me from Be Eco. Thank you very much for coming back on the podcast, for coming on the podcast. You're a subject matter expert in grants and you're going into the private market as well. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me, Ashley. I was thrilled with the opportunity and I thought, yes, let's do this.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. I feel like your values that you and the company have, and you've been working with the grants for a number of years now, and I feel like it's vitally important information that the consumers that listen to and watch the podcast should know. So, tell me a little bit about the company, about yourself, and what's going on with you.
Right, Anita Baines from Be Eco. We're a family-run business. We've been working with grants now for some years, currently working on home insulations, external wall, internal walls, room and roofs, etc. We'll go into later. And we have been working on the grants, but they've been pulled back. So there's been limited grants, so that's been forcing us to go into more of the private sector.
Yeah, diversifying,
and that's what we've been working on at the moment.
Yeah, great. So within the grant process, how does it work? So, are you working with funders? Are you working on behalf of Ofgem? What's your process with it?
So basically what you mean, like from getting accredited, and doing the actual installation. So, I mean, for the customer's point of view, they'd call in and ask, whether they'd be eligible. The first thing we do is actually look at the EPC rating and see how we can help them where they're at. What
is an EPC rating?
So it's an energy performance certificate. It's carried out by domestic energy assessors. And you can find it on you can Google it and you can find it on the internet, energy performance certificate. Just type in your postcode and it will come up with your energy rating.
Does every home have it?
Most homes have it, but if you've been in your home and not bought or sold in the last 10 years, you may not have it.
Okay.
So, most homes have it, but not everybody necessarily has one. It's only when you're buying and selling a house that mostly require one.
Okay, and what's the rule of thumb with the EPC rating? Say you think you may be eligible for a grant, which we'll go into further into the podcast. Why does the EPC matter?
Well, the energy performance, it's actually looking at the property and seeing what the actual current situation is, how well it's insulated, and if there's room for improvement.
So the efficiency of the property.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about efficiency, is whatever heat source or whatever you have, how efficient is that property?
Is that staying in the property or is it just going out the roof?
Yeah, exactly. So like if you've got your heating on, say 20 degrees all the time, like I've preached previously in the past, the efficiency is how long that heat stays in your property. That's where insulation comes in. Absolutely.
People don't actually realise the importance of installations. You buy your house, you're excited, you've got you've seen your house, you see the walls, you see the roof, you think, yes, I've got my house. But the last thing we don't look at is thinking, well, how well is it insulated? Because without the correct installations taking place, you could be losing money day in, every single day. It's the most important factor would be like if it's a loft insulation, for example, you'd be losing heat right out your roof.
Yeah. Because heat rises.
Absolutely, because heat rises, so that'd be the first place to look at, and with cold homes, again, going back to cold homes, it's triggering ill health. People don't even realise that their health is being triggered because their house is cold.
and their mental health, really, you know. So, like the stress of owning your own home and running your own home. If your energy efficiency is low, then that means that you're spending more on your utility bills. You're heating your
Absolutely.
property, you know, from your gas boiler, how hot you're turning your thermostat up, and it's really just going out to the walls or
Absolutely, just
through the roof.
just wasting money. You know, so like we mentioned, mental health, depression, and it's all triggered. A lot of people don't even realise it's associated with their cold house. It's not something you look at thinking these are where the problems are actually being sourced from.
Yes,
So it's very important. Like they say, a warm home is a happy home.
I agree with you,
You know.
definitely. Yeah, 100%. So that EPC rating, then that's done by a separate person or a coordinator or assessor.
A retrofit assessor. So our surveyor, you know, will go out, retrofit assessor, look at all these. So they'll spend, you know, time in the property, taking all the correct information, come back and then look at the readings that's coming up for that property.
Like a heat loss calculation is done by the assessor.
At this stage, it's more to do with that come into play more with the actual air source heat pumps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's when that's more kicks in with. So this is then looked at, and if it's an E-rating property, then most likely that can qualify for like Eco4.
Okay, that's so Eco4 is I believe the grant out there at the moment for homes in the UK.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lot of it's. I mean, it includes external wall, internal wall, room and roof, flat roof, loft insulations. If it's an electric property, then you could be looking at air source heat pumps and solar.
Yeah.
Then you've got the non-condensing boilers and.
Yeah. So the Eco4, what is the qualifications for the consumer to be able to qualify from the?
It's quite for the actual funding. It's quite wide. It's the first place is let's say it's beyond benefits. If you look on the actual website for eco funding, there's a whole list of areas where people can qualify.
What are the qualifications? So I say benefits. What benefits do they need to be on to be able to qualify, or does that change?
There's been some changes recently. I mean, they've taken off what used to qualify was child benefit, so that's been taken out now.
So if you're on child benefit, you don't necessarily qualify?
No, that doesn't count. PIPs used to qualify, that doesn't qualify now.
What is PIPs?
Oh, I don't remember the name of that one now.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah. So
it's like the tax, if you're on income tax credit, job seekers allowance.
Oh, so like low income
universal
families.
Credit.
Yes, okay.
Pension credit, that qualifies.
Okay, so what is the minimum, what is the maximum household income to qualify for any of these?
Yeah, so maximum household income is like 31,000.
31,000. So that 31,000, does that have to split from every
it's the whole household
earner? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole household income.
Oh, okay. So it's a max. So if one.
So that's
go on.
Before so that's before. It's before tax. I've got to double check that one.
I'm unsure. So
yeah.
We'll find out that information anyway. So it's more or less for low income families, you know.
Yeah. So that's the Eco4. And then there's also Great British Installation Scheme, what's called GBIS.
GBIS, yes. View that.
So GBIS is more based on the property. So it's a council tax council tax band of A, B, C, or D.
Okay. What does that mean then? If they're in A, B, C, or D, does that mean
if they've got a D-rated property, for example, below, so they could get some sort of home insulation.
Oh, okay.
So they can qualify, but they'd have to contribute.
What's the minimum contribution?
It varies on what you're having done
to
the property. So your contributions could, if it's like external wall insulation, you could contributing anything between £4,000 and £8,000.
Okay.
Depending on the grant, so it could be more. It depends on the size of the house. It depends on.
So it's all depending on the property. So each person and each property is more bespoke. It's not a one size fits all, because we see a lot of negative information out there about grants and stuff like that.
We always get, oh, well, my neighbour's had this done and, why can't I get this done? Well, your property's different and the ratings are different to their property, so you can't have the same as your neighbour.
And the household incomes, people's circumstances are different from your neighbour,
absolutely.
And it's not a one size fits all. It has to be done to each individual case, I suppose.
Yeah, it's every household on their own merit. So you can't say, oh, they've had it done and why not me? You have to look at every property on its own and the family household on its own merit.
Because sometimes we don't see the struggles of our neighbour, on outside perception.
Yeah.
They might just look like what your individual circumstances is, but behind closed doors, it may be different. So I feel like everyone should take that into consideration. It's not a grants process, a one size fits all.
Absolutely.
They had it, so I should have it. It depends on the people's circumstances.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
I mean, you could only, make a phone call and find out, or, check your EPC ratings, always the first place to start. And make a phone call just to check if you are eligible for anything.
So
Even if you don't know, it's just a question, isn't it?
So it starts with a phone call.
Absolutely.
So if you know that there's potential people doing grant work in your street, or you potentially think that you may be eligible, or you just want to ask the question, pick someone that is offering this service, have a phone call with them and start that process.
Absolutely, have a conversation and find out.
Yeah, because you never know, you may be eligible for partial funding or even full funded energy efficiency works on your home, which the benefits are you go down the renewable route, and it can, if done correctly, designed and installed properly, it can be very, very beneficial.
Oh, absolutely. It's life-changing for many. Like I said, be a warmer home's everything. It helps with your health, your mental health.
Yeah.
And reducing your bills.
Yeah, which is obviously a big thing for me, and what I'm trying to preach is,
absolutely.
Energy efficiency and utility savings. And if it can be funded, then I feel like that's a very good option.
I mean, it is, there's many people out there that they're on low incomes, and that's why they can't afford these things. And we're in a position where we can help and support those families and those homes for those reasons. And
just because they're on a low income, there's no reason why then they should be paying crazy numbers for their utility bills. If anything, we need to look at it as a whole nation, trying to reach our net zero target.
Yeah. And
if we have to support a low-income family that is struggling, I feel like we should do that, as a nation. And
absolutely help, where you possibly can, and support support people where we possibly can. Yeah.
So talk to me about the installations that you guys do. So you said you do external wall insulation.
Yeah, we predominantly do external wall installations. So this is almost like putting a coat on your house, So
that's a great way to think about it. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. So it's it's 100 mil thickness of insulation that goes on, and it gives it a beautiful render finish, so your house ends up looking absolutely like brand new almost.
Wow.
The compliments we get, thinking the customers are absolutely chuffed with the way it's looking all crisp and neat and tidy again.
Yeah, I've seen obviously lots of the work that has been done, and it does. It can revamp the home or the property to no end, really, and the added bonus that it reduces your utility bill as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things they've changed with the external wall, before was the roof line. So before, where they used to just use the verge trims, then they introduced the roof overhang.
Yes.
So it's giving it more support and looking after the external wall.
And keeping all the heat inside.